Welcome back to the Inspectations Podcast. My name is Justin Starbird, and I get to welcome back Charlie Landry of Twin City Medical Aesthetics. Charlie, great to have you back.
Hey, nice to be back.
You know, this is a part 2 of our series, getting to know you and your business. And, you know, we touched on a bunch of different topics last time. We talked about both business, but today we're talking about Twin City Medical Aesthetics. And, you know, one of the topics that is it's hot button here in Maine, but it's really everywhere, and people are always concerned about, you know, their weight, how their body is, what they're feeling. And one of the services that you offer is in regards to weight loss.
Yes.
Can we go a little bit deeper and wider into that topic today?
Yeah. So we offer Semaglutide, that's specially compounded that we get. And so Semaglutide is also known, the name brand to be Ozempic or Wegovy. Wegovy is the same thing as Ozempic. They're the exact same drug. They're just marketed and branded different, ones specifically for weight loss and ones for diabetes. But everybody just uses Ozempic. I think maybe because it's easier to say than it's smoother than Wegovy. But they're essentially the same thing. I don't use the name brand product. We use the generic, and it's specially compounded for us for a couple of reasons. One, Ozempic itself, the name brand Ozempic, comes in a multi-dose pen that's really easy for people to dial up and use at home. But if you're diabetic, especially type 2 diabetic, they cover it. For weight loss specifically, insurance doesn't cover it, or I should say most insurances don't cover it, or if they do cover it, you're still paying a really expensive monthly fee for the medication. And frankly, right now, it's extremely hard for people to get because it's such an effective diabetes medication. It's such an effective medication for weight loss. So we have one that's compounded with B12. And that helps on a couple different things. What it does is, by being compounded with B12, you're so calorie restricted with the semaglutide, where you just really don't have any appetite, you don't have any cravings. So the B12 helps give you an extra boost of energy to keep your activity going while your body's getting used to the lower calories and moving into a weight loss kind of mode.
Yeah. So, you know, I want to back up a little bit because, you know, oftentimes this is something that folks, I don't want to say they're resorting to, but it's because other things haven't worked previously, right? This isn't generally something that you're like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds, so I'm going to go see. How does it get started?
Right. You could do it to lose 10 pounds. It's not really recommended. Really, you should have a BMI over 27 or ideally over 30. So you're more in the overweight, pushing obese, or even morbidly obese category. And you're looking at it as an option because you don't want to do surgery. So or for some situations, people have to lose so much weight that they won't even operate on you unless you lose 100 pounds. So this is a great tool for that. And it's hard. There's a lot of controversy here, like what Oprah went off last week. She's like, if she can't do it herself, then she's just not going to do it. Well, Oprah, you have your own personal chef. You have someone that shops for you and cooks for you. You know what I mean? So, and you have time to exercise. You have time to do all this stuff, or you have people doing it for you. So, you know, and the other thing I think of, it's an excellent tool. So the hard part is, you know, say resorting to and things like that. A lot of people think it's an easy way, and it's not necessarily easy. Weight loss isn't easy. And you have to think of weight loss for a lot of people. There's so many things we could get into that makes our society overweight. 1, 2, why we get to the level where states, 44% of certain states are actually classified as obese. You know, when you have entire populations that are overweight and obese, it's not just it's what we're eating and that we're not as active and under a lot of stress, but you look at the food that we have that's so processed, and not anything remotely near natural for some stuff. Sorry, I love Doritos, but there's not much in it that you should really eat. You know, And all those preservatives and all these other chemicals that we have, specifically one of the worst is high fructose corn syrup. The amount of damage it does to your body and how your body processes sugar and everything like that, and promotes weight gain and fat storage and damage to your liver, but yet it's in everything we eat.
Yeah.
So, and then lifestyle makes it hard. You have kids in sports, you have jobs, you have 2 jobs, you're doing whatever. It's hard to exercise and things like that. And there's an element, because of these products and advertising and all the substances and chemicals that are in a lot of our foods, you develop an addiction. You develop a problem. And
I've heard that, like with sugar.
Yeah, with sugar, it's huge. So when you tell someone, if you're on heroin, well, why don't you stop using heroin? It's very difficult. So we use methadone or Suboxone, right? And to help people stay clean. But you don't need heroin to live. You don't need cigarettes to live. You don't need alcohol to live. And these are all things we know are hard for people to quit. Smoking is incredibly difficult to quit. But now your drug of choice, you need to have to live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you have to eat, you tell a heroin addict you have to have a gram of heroin a day and still stay clean. They're not going to do that. Right. Same thing. So why do we treat food any different when so many people are overweight, obese, and limited on things? And the number one healthcare cost, people complain about the price of insurance. The number one healthcare cost is all related to weight.
Yeah.
It's type 2 diabetes, it's obesity, it's heart disease, cholesterol, hypertension, knee replacements, back surgery. Almost all of these things are happening to people who at some point in their lives were overweight or continue to be overweight. So Ozempic and Wegovy and so semaglutide is an excellent tool to help you lose weight. It cuts the cravings. It helps you not feel hungry. It's easier to limit your portions when you're not hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes, it sounds a lot more simple that, when you sit there and describe it, it sounds, oh, well, why don't you just come in and do this? But oftentimes there's a mental aspect, behind it that is preventing somebody from either acknowledging that they're in a state where they need some additional help, or to your point about needing some sort of surgery and reducing their weight, to be able to have that surgery. What made you get into this side of the business and help people in a way that's really meaningful? Right.
Well, I've struggled with weight my entire life. I've always been overweight, obese to morbidly obese at some point. I've done all the diets, all the different things, and have always struggled, and fortunately have been able to still at 48 dodge type 2 diabetes. But when my dad was 46, he was partially disabled due to heart disease and diabetes, was already, had already had a triple bypass and an aneurysm, and was diabetic with kidney damage at 46. And I'm like, well, I'm at 48 with a 9 and 10-year-old kid. 9 and 10-year-old children. I can't do that. I have to be better for my kids, and I have to be a better example for my patients. And I've always been up and down and tried everything, and it's always difficult. Something happens, you get injured, or you just kind of lose track. And so with the semaglutide, it's a phenomenal tool. It's people are looking at it, they're like, oh, it's just another gimmick, and it's kind of not. It's really helping your body, optimizing your body to work with insulin in a better way. For one thing that it does. The other thing is just slowing things down a little bit to make you feel more full, so you're not going to eat. So you're not going to eat as much. It also affects a hormone called leptin, and we found out years ago leptin is a hormone that your body produces to make you feel full or tell you that you're done eating. And in people who are overweight and obese, that whole process is messed up. So, and then all the preservatives and the chemicals in our food interfere with how that works. So, it's very difficult to control your appetite. And when you're really feeling hungry and all you think about is what you want to eat, it's hard to exercise. It's hard to focus on your work. But when you literally like, I don't have any cravings for anything, I don't feel like eating, I'm just gonna have a meal replacement bar and a water or a hard-boiled egg or a sandwich or something. And the big thing is learning portion size, what an actual portion is. I walk into a local steakhouse, we're going out for dinner with friends, and right in the middle was the ribeye, and your choice is a 12 or 16 ounce ribeye with, mashed potatoes or fries or sweet potatoes or broccoli. And I'm like, well, a 12 to 16 ounce steak is a serving size for 3 to 4 people. And how many of us go into a place like that and we have 1 or 2 20-ounce beers, we have some nachos, we have some buffalo wings, we have the entire 16-ounce steak, we have the mashed potatoes soaked in butter and salt, and the broccoli because it's healthy but it's covered in butter and salt, and then maybe share a dessert with your date or your group of friends or something, and you just had 3,000 to 4,000 calories.
Right.
You had 2 to 3 days worth of food, based on your activity level, especially if you have a sedentary, desk job. So it gives you an opportunity to learn. I'm like, wow, I basically just had half a sandwich and I'm full. And if you look at the actual calories of a half sandwich, that's actually what a normal person should have eaten that day.
Yeah.
But because of marketing, and look how many channels we have just dedicated to food.
Yeah.
Trust me, I love watching Bobby Flay on the Food Network. But yeah, what happens when you sit down and you start watching, those shows, you're like, you reach in the fridge, or you go in the cabinet for the Doritos.
Well, that's why they play.
Oreos.
Yeah, they're at restaurants, right? To get you excited, get you hungry.
And there's all these chemicals that they add to food to make you crave it.
Yeah.
And that mess, we don't know how much that messes up. We're learning how much those things mess up our system. And then when you even look at the case of surgery, bypass surgery, gastric bypass surgery and all the other weight loss surgeries have clearly saved lives and helped people. But they have risks. I know people that have died from complications of the surgery, or the sheer amount of people, I'm sure people listening to this know someone that had the surgery 5 years ago. They're now the same weight that they were or heavier than they were before the surgery. And now they have a malabsorption disorder, so they're getting iron infusions. They're on B12 shots. They have to take a ton of liquid supplements to because they're just not absorbing food, but they're still overweight and having the same problem they had before because they didn't change their behavior. And I think one of the things that we're doing differently than some of the other med spas that I know of that are offering this is we try to give you the tools and the people to contact to help you make those changes.
Yeah.
So all I can offer here from a space standpoint and staffing is you come in here, you get weighed, you get measured, you get the shot. But we also provide you with this area of people that I work with that do counseling, that specialize in food addiction or have struggled with weight themselves and found a way to manage it. So this way, when you've lost the weight, you can keep it off.
So it sounds, it's almost equating to, say, a platform, a software platform where, they teach you to go through this. It's essentially an adoption strategy because, what you're offering is just the tool. Right. But if you don't adopt a lifestyle or start putting the other elements in place, then you won't see the success long term that you're hoping for.
Right.
And it's so fascinating because we live in central Maine, and generally speaking, people are gonna, tie their boots tighter, they're gonna wake up earlier, try to do more. And, I don't need help. How do you get referrals? How do people, yes, you're doing a podcast today and that's great. And you've done some other marketing, but generally, how do people, find out about this or, choose you over, say, going to Portland for something like this?
Right now, it's sort of like I go to school pickup or patients that are seeing me and they're seeing the weight that I'm losing. Doing it. They're like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? They're like, you look better. I'm like, yeah, I feel better. So my clothes fit better. I used to wear triple extra large scrubs that were tight. Now my double extra large scrubs are way baggy, and I need to get the extra large scrubs because they actually fit. I'm just waiting till.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So it's like it's not easy, and especially when you wear scrubs, it's really easy to go up in weight without noticing that you're going up in weight. So I'm working on it myself to be more conscious of weighing myself several times a week and really monitoring and paying attention to the portion size that I'm having. A lot of times I go someplace and get something and cut it in half, and then just eat a quarter to half of what the portion is, and then bring the rest home. So people are finding that out, or they're like seeing me places, or they're, I just posted like on, Facebook that, hey, I'm offering it now, and then someone searches for it, or they know someone, and, already I'm getting some great word of mouth, and, for it. And I work in an area that has, upstairs has a bunch of counselors. So they're dealing with people that are asking about it. So they tell them I'm here.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how that's happening. And I want to get more marketing and get known more that we can offer it here, because there's a lot of people in the area that are driving to Brunswick, they're driving to Portland, to get it done. And we can do it here. And also the big difference is we're trying to get you I give you the information of, one of the martial arts studios that I work with. They have weight loss and exercise training there. So that's Phoenix on Center Street. So I have people that you can contact, Harry and Donna there. Right next to Prime 360, which is BJ Grondin does a functional training program, and they do. So I send my patients there. If you want to meet up with him in this building upstairs, we have someone that does counseling. There's another that to help you change your relationship with food. So you can
so much of it is actually your relationship with food, and how you use it as a crutch, or it's a replacement for something that you don't have in life. I mean, you were equating it to drugs earlier, but sometimes it's even more foundational than that.
Yeah, it's like, I had a bad day, I just want a mac and cheese, or I want a large pizza and a pitcher of beer, and you know what I mean. And it's like, because you had a bad day, or you're like, oh, screw it, I'm having a hot fudge sundae. Well, and that's fine to have that once in a while, but you want to control the portions, and you want to make sure your activity is around that. I knew of someone that,
when you say activity, you mentioned, being active or in a sedentary job. You're not saying go out and run a marathon.
Absolutely not. So, and then especially if you've got to lose a lot of weight, some people, they can't walk because they're so heavy. So or do anything. So one of the key recommendations for weight loss and changing your activity and helping your mood, that I read about getting, is a lot of places recommend getting a medium size or larger dog. Any dog that's going to make you walk 20 minutes a day, twice a day. You have to take the dog out 20 minutes a day, twice a day. The effect that just doing that alone, a little 20-minute jaunt around your neighborhood, will drop your blood pressure, increase your muscle mass, and it's something that you can do without spending the money to go to a gym.
Yeah.
And just starting there, and then so especially people who have such bad knees and they can't even get on the OR table because of their weight, then it's really hard to calorie restrict. So if you have a medication like this that you can get your weight down and get your cravings down, so you can start getting your weight, then you start getting your activity, and then you start getting motivated, and then you're walking your dog, instead of 20 minutes, you're able to walk 40 minutes.
And now your dog's more healthy.
Yeah, your dog's healthier. You're healthy. I said that to someone once. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, do you walk your dog? She's like, no. And she's like, my dog's fat. I'm like, yeah, you're fat. Your dog's fat. Walk your dog. And sure enough, the dog lost weight. She lost weight. And so it's little steps and little things that you can do consistently. So that we're coming up on the first of the year. And, people are going to do the New Year's resolutions, and sure enough, all the gyms, Planet Fitness, all those places, they're all packed. Everybody's buying their thing, their New Year's resolution, they're going to lose weight, and they start working out, and they go like, I'm going to bust out 2 hours a day. And then they hurt like crazy. They get injured. Their kid has some extra play, and you have to get him to, so you missed a workout. All of a sudden, you're out of that habit. And it's
that you never started in the first place.
Right. You never made it a part of your life. You have to make it a part of your life. I get up in the morning, I put my sweatshirt on, I put my sweatpants on, I grab the dog, I take the dog for a 20-minute walk. You know what I mean? That's, and then you make it where you don't even think about it anymore. Yeah. And then and
if you don't think about it, the dog certainly does.
Yeah.
And so when they're up, they're like, hey, let's go, Charlie. We're out the door.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to make it part of your life. And then as you lose more weight and you can do more, you add more minutes or you add more intensity. And it makes it easier as opposed to just walking in and going full tilt boogie your first day and think you're going to keep that up for the rest of your life. Yeah. And these are subtle changes you have to make and slowly building up. And then which aisles you shop, which everything has to be a part of it or else it's not going to succeed. And that's really what we try to push as opposed to, oh, you just lose weight. And then we don't care if you get off it in 6 months and you get all your weight back. I do care. Yeah. And if you're coming here and you get off it in 6 months and you gain the weight back, it's on you, not on me, because we offered you the tools. Yeah. You know what I mean? And went over what it takes and make every visit come in. Are you walking more? Are you doing this? And if you aren't, it's not going to succeed. You're paying a lot of money for this stuff. Yeah. And and
the ultimate price is your health, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's not the benefit that everybody's thinking of, but right. Certainly, that affects the people around you and your overall health.
Yeah. Well, if you're overweight for a long time, eventually you will need knee replacements, you will need hip replacements, you will be on blood pressure meds, you will be on cholesterol meds, you most likely will develop type 2 diabetes. And the longer you live with type 2 diabetes, the more likely you're going to have renal failure, the more likely you're going to have to go on dialysis. They're opening dialysis places like crazy because of the amount of type 2 diabetics they are that can't, that their kidneys are no longer functioning, and the only way to stay alive is dialysis. Yeah. Trust me, my dad did it for, I think, 3 to 4 years. It was the worst 3 to 4 years of his life. Yeah. I mean, dialysis is a wonderful tool if you're super sick and almost dead and you're on it for a short time to come back, or you're a candidate for a kidney transplant, and you're going to be on it for a year or two till you qualify, till they find you a kidney, and then you can live the rest of your life without dialysis. But knowing that the rest of your life is 6 to 8 hours a day, 3 days a week, at a center, where you're wondering who's going to code and drop dead during dialysis that day, because it happens regularly. That's the cost people aren't thinking of when they say, well, my insurance doesn't cover it, I'm not going to do it. Well, yeah, your insurance will cover dialysis, your insurance will cover all that other stuff. But, I see it as I'm an older parent. I want to see my kids graduate college. I want to be able to play pass with my grandkids. Yeah. And going the way I have been, which was, slightly better than my parents, but not great, is not what I want to do.
So finding your why, as they say, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Your will to do better.
Yeah, and you look at us as a overall population period. We're in general, because of medications and stuff, we're living longer. But what's the point of living longer if you can't do anything?
Right.
I got 70 and 80-year-olds that ski every day all winter. And in the summer, they golf every day. That's an amazing way to live at 70 and 80. That's wonderful. Yeah. I don't want to be 75 years old in a nursing home with someone else wiping my butt.
No, I laugh only because, it is a visceral image. Folks that are living it is visceral for them. It is oftentimes a lot more than just physical. It is a mental ailment, and that it comes with a lot of other tolls. So I think what you're doing and how you're doing it is certainly a recipe to help people turn their lives around. So I got to imagine that it is certainly fulfilling when you have people come back and just say thanks.
Yeah. And then the other thing we offer too, so with the aesthetics aspect, as people lose weight, one of the things that people get with Ozempic, they actually call it Ozempic face. You lose a lot of fat, and then so you start getting the wrinkles and all that stuff. And so we have the tools here that we can help do the skin tightening, smooth out the skin, get rid of the wrinkles. So you know what I mean? We're handling that too. Yeah. And not a lot of places can do that, and can do it with near surgical results at way less cost. Yeah. And so I want people healthier. I want people looking better. I want people feeling better. I want people more active. And, everything has its risk. There's a lot of stuff on the news right now about, Ozempic causes this or that, and ileus and, severe constipation or pancreatitis. Well, so does obesity causes all those things. One. Two, almost all medications, we have people on diuretics for the blood pressure all the time. They all cause pancreatitis. And a lot of the constipation and ileus issues can be avoided with making sure you're drinking enough water. You need to drink a minimum of 32 ounces of water a day. And you need to walk and keep things moving. You can't, if you come here expecting that the drug is going to magically make you lose weight, and I'm going to give you a shot, and you're going to leave here and go down the road and get a double quarter pounder of cheese, a large fry, and a milkshake, and think you're going to lose weight and be fine. You're not. You're going to probably throw up like crazy, or you know what I mean? You can't do that. Yeah. I talked to someone else. She's like, well, I don't know how this medication works. I've been on Ozempic for my diabetes for 6 months, and I've only lost 1 pound. Well, you look, and every day she posts her picture from her daily pickup from a local coffee establishment with an iced coffee that's large iced coffee that's half chocolate milk and iced coffee. She's drinking 500 to 700 calories on her way to work. Yeah. You're not going to lose weight, especially if you have a desk job.
Right.
So you have to get in your mind that you have to make these changes, and you're looking at this is an investment in yourself. It's not a magic pill. It's not a magic shot. It's not a cure-all. It's a phenomenal, powerful tool done correctly is safe and effective, but it's a tool and an investment in yourself and in your health.
That's awesome. I think, you've alluded to several of the other services that you offer, and we're going to go deeper and wider into some of those. So, as people are starting to think about the rest of the year, go into the holidays, make resolutions, knowing that you're, there to be a support mechanism, I think is a huge boon for the economy. So, Charlie, thank you so much for being on today.
No problem. You're welcome.
You've been listening to the latest episode of the Inspectations Podcast on behalf of Charlie Landry from Twin City Medical Aesthetics. Thanks for listening.